That's all you get.
Hey, okay. In biology, evolution is the change in the characteristics of a species over several generations and relies on the process of natural selection. The theory of evolution is based on the idea that all species are related and gradually change over time.
Mm.
Okay, so with that being said, got my boy
King Darius.
and
Patience.
okay, you already know. So what y'all think about this definition on yourgenome.org of evolution?
Yeah, and we're going left to right. We're going
Counterclockwise.
Bro, based off the definition,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's valid.
That's a valid definition for
That's
evolution.
valid, bro. That's valid.
It stands in this reality as valid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what you
All right,
got?
so repeat it.
In biology, evolution is the change in the characteristics of a species over several generations and relies on the process of natural selection. The theory of evolution is based on the idea that all species are related and gradually change over time.
Okay, so I should ask the same question. I don't know about the natural selection part.
Because that's
Now,
So-
I think everything, I agree with everything except the natural
natural
selection.
selection part. Okay.
All right, yeah. So that was the only thing that I was going to bring up too, right? So natural selection. I feel like in a way, natural selection is, quote unquote, a species getting stronger to withstand something, right? So that could even be seen as, of course, like certain humans or quote unquote minorities have evolved to become stronger and deal with more controversial things, right? So technically, that's natural selection, right? So technically, it's true, but I feel like it's not really natural
Yeah, I agree.
in the way that we see the natural selection being as like, you're only. It's whatever is the finer the fitness line.
Right, I feel like
survive or
when you
die.
say natural selection, I think of destiny.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's so true, bro. That's what I was getting about from it too. I was sitting here thinking like,
Like
the
this
natural
has nothing to
selection
do-
part of it reminds me of some like God type shit. It
Yeah,
comes
like
from,
somebody
a religion.
picking.
Yeah, you picking somebody
Exactly.
chosen type
Yeah.
shit. So
But like you said, technically, I rock with it because it.
It says storage low, video safe.
all right, so
Yeah, that's the only beer I got. I thought I'd be done with it by the time the gas is on.
but yeah, so I was basically saying that the whole natural selection thing basically reminds me of like some chosen type shit that religious people share. So it seems like the origins of it are really important, like to figure out like what it actually is, in my opinion. So I just pulled up randomly like the theory of evolution and like basically what is like founded on is basically this book that was made in 1859 by what's his name again? Charles Darwin, called The Origin of Species. You feel me? And with that being said, it seems as though what it's saying is basically evolution by natural selection is one of the best sustainable theories in the history of science. You feel me? Out of all the science we found, this is one of the best ones because it's supported evidence from a wide variety of scientific disciplines, including paleontology, geology, genetics, and developmental biology. The theory has two main points, said Brian Richmond, curator of human origins at the American Museum of Natural History in New York. All life on Earth is connected and related to each other, and this diversity of life is a product of modifications of populations by natural selection, where some traits were favored in environment over others. Where some traits were favored in environments over others.
Objection, Your Honor.
What is the objection, boy?
I got down. I think they saying it's the is the best substantiated theories in the history of science because science mostly focuses on like experimentation. So based on being able to prove, analyze, and look at shit, goddamn, natural selection makes more sense. But like as far as like, I don't completely agree with that.
Okay,
shit.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know what you're saying, but I definitely agree. Right. So they're judging everything based off of what we can see, hear, feel, touch, and sense, and without getting into anything that's too, let's just say, like not physical, right? Because of that lack of understanding that of metaphysics and quantum physics and how we only have a limited perception with our minds to be able to see everything. So who's to say that we didn't come from stardust or stars? Because if we're speaking in a very logical way, then it would be very logical to presume that if a bug came from the earth and we view that if we always say we came from the earth, then if we ask where the earth came from however many years ago, then you're gonna get the same thing, that it came from that. So that means that is its mother. Or the earth is our mother.
Exactly. And I mean, I feel like in order to, like, the more I research evolution, it seems as though in order to actually believe in it, it doesn't take a lot, bro. Like, because everything in our environment, it supports that when you actually do look at things from a just physical point of view, you feel me? Because we see progress in the way, like, they said the idea of evolution, you feel me? They never said it was actually like some physical shit that you can prove. It's just the idea.
It's theory.
That matches reality the closest. And just knowing, like, you feel me, just knowing the people who went into making the beginning of it, like Charles Darwin and, like they said, this guy, Brian Richmond, they start, like, making museums and shit out of this shit because it's like some Bible type shit. Like, you have to gather different, you feel me, ancient knowings and put them into one thing in order to try to, like, trick people, basically. Like, and you're not really completing the science. Like, if you know, like, for example, if you know about genetics, then you know you can't apply certain shit from genetics into paleontology. You feel me? That doesn't relate with each other at all because you're talking about the age of rock versus a literal living being. You feel me?
Paleontology got to do with bones too.
Bones too. You feel me? You feel me? So basically, they just use, like, they date rocks and shit, but you can't use the same shit to manipulate a person's genetics. You feel me? So the whole thing just seemed like a fucking mind fuck.
It's one-sided in a sense.
Well,
It's theory.
If it was exactly right, so if it was factual, then it wouldn't be called the Charles Darwin theory, right? So that's the same thing. If you're comparing a theory that has strong evidence, that still doesn't mean that it's factual yet, And the same way as that is a lot of us are viewing theories as fact.
Facts.
And then also you have to consider that facts are also changed constantly. Just like how Pluto's not a planet anymore or several other things.
It wanted planet at first, then they said it would, then they said it ain't.
Because of the scientific technique. That's what they just said.
And person.
That's what they said in the definition.
Yeah.
So the technique is flawed.
True.
That just means that that's your way of doing something.
And it's on some shit like you don't. Sometimes like they talking about that shit, the theory for like hundreds of years ago. But like if you don't feel like doing, if you don't feel like doing the shit no more, then the shit dead. Like some people really unless you say like I want to go figure out if we really evolved from apes, then we gonna still be on the same shit 100 years ago. Because niggas don't have, it's like you start some shit, you be like, you know what, this puzzle pissing me off, I'll go do another puzzle. Or I'll do something else. And niggas still want answers, but that shit kind of old. Now it's like, you see how far we've gone with tech. You think niggas is really care about like, well, I wonder. It's like, no, you take it as law, figure it out, and just keep moving because you're going to be able to question everything for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Or theorize, so because Theo think, like idea, like theology and shit. So.
And I think the reason why it's such a huge misconception or limited like thought towards our evolution is because like we have so many daily distractions in the first place, right? So we're so busy trying to, do the mundane things like care about work and like seeing a success in society that nobody really puts a forefront in their mind to think about where they came from.
Exactly. And that's, you feel me? I find that to be something really deep because you have people like us who actually do question that shit, you feel me? Like, so, and then when we question that shit, it's like, I feel like, sometimes I feel like restricted by evolution, you feel me? Because, in a way, like, everything that science is based off of when it comes to, like, biology, in a way, it's based off of evolution, too, because the history we know about ourselves is based off of them telling us, you feel me, a progression of time. When our people used to think about shit linear, like, so we wouldn't even be able to, like, say we're moving forward in time unless we knew we were going to come back to the same point in time.
Exactly.
So
it's just a point, like, to measure shit by.
Exactly, bro. But with that being said, just us, like, being taught this in school, you feel me, before we can actually question it, that led to other, I feel like that could lead to, like, other misconceptions too, like, because who's to say that, like, you feel me, we didn't come from, like, a fucking cloud, you feel me, like, literally, like, it's just that, basically, it's like this, bro, like, in order to actually prove our history, you feel me, we would actually have to go back in time to see that shit. But until we can do that shit, everybody's gonna make up different reasons and all this shit. But the most secure way of doing that is by storytelling, you feel me? We can actually trade our own consciousness from one generation to another just by us telling our stories to our next generation. With that being said, like, evolution takes that away from you feel me? Because it's literally automatically like, okay, like, fuck what your grandma said, like, that's only 10 years of history, that's only 100 years. I'm gonna take you all the way back 3 billion years ago with dinosaurs back, and that's where you came from, like, type shit. And we know there were civilizations and shit back then, you feel me? Thriving ones, like, so is evolution more, I feel like the question is evolution more relevant or is de-evolution more relevant at this point?
I say de-evolution. I won't say it's more relevant because I don't think it is more relevant, but I think, like, the question should be more relevant. That's why I think of, like, okay, even in evolution. So, like, if it comes from, like, we evolved from animals and shit. So look at a fucking bird, though. First off, the plane is made to mimic the bird, so niggas is already behind. Second, if we evolved from fucking animals and we could fly as fucking animals, and now as humans we can't fly, but we can create some shit to mimic flying, so to speak. Yeah. And then it's like, and then if you look at the nature of animals and roles, it seems like we're the only species as humans who still don't know why the fuck we're here and what the fuck we're supposed to be doing. But you don't see fucking monkeys trying to act like fucking horses. You don't see horses trying to act like zebras. Like, they know what the fuck they doing. And you gotta think about, like, how the fuck a butterfly can survive for thousands or millions of years amongst some of the most ferocious, in the same environment of some of the most ferocious animals, and where each other respect each other. If you're not a predator or prey, they just let it be. Like, you're only supposed to kill, so to speak, what you need. And I always think also, like, I wonder if the animals, like, really mourn. Like, we mourn over, like, every death. Yeah. And it's like animals be on, like, niggas, insects die every day, B. Because I feel like they look at that shit like it's a part of life.
I feel like they don't even have the fear of death aspect. They only know, like, instinct of trying to survive, but they don't necessarily fear death. So I definitely feel like animals mourn. There's definitely, like, a lot of, like, proof to that.
That's
you know what I'm saying? But, like,
theories.
Yeah, well, yeah, theory, really, right. That's why I said proof. You know what I'm saying? I said proof. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that being said, I feel like, speaking on the aspect of de-evolution, like, maybe that was a part of our de-evolution. We started focusing so much
Mm.
on trying to survive or like not care that we lost the inability to already be able to tap into like other realms or other aspects of like being a human.
So you think that we like got here by like, well, as far as evolution is concerned, we got here by like not paying attention?
I feel like there has or has not maybe been a de-evolution towards what we can experience with our senses on a daily basis due to the fact that our brains and genetics have been so heavily programmed towards just survival. So that's why we have like multiple ways of breathing. Because like this like quote unquote machine is meant to like always be able to subconsciously because we always had to be in a state of trying to like change something or fend off of something or survive or figure out what we're gonna do next or move or whatever.
Yeah. But that's what it, but isn't that what like is about as animals, like to survive?
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
that be
number number one priority. But I feel like the reason why de-evolution came is because there was no money or the way we view money as the way it was in the ancient civilization. So they had a lot more time and space to do different arts like meditation or specific types of yoga or whatever. The hundreds of different things that we could be doing besides stressing every day on any type of subconscious level. You know what I'm saying? A child at the age of 3 automatically starts to stress when he sees his mother crying.
Yeah.
Now, this is something that's been factually proven. They've tested the cortisol levels in a child, the adrenaline levels in a child. It spikes.
And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's good stress and bad stress. And I was more so saying like as far as like evolution theory, as far as instinct instead of like a human.
Right, but I'm saying because of the de-evolution, might have caused us to react more towards that way. Because if we're never in a situation, rarely when we see our mother cry, stressing, then we're not, those reactors aren't even going to go off.
So do you think we did evolve and then like, so do you think as far as evolution theory, you think animal, human evolution and then we started evolving?
I feel like,
That's what
I feel like, I'm undecided.
We had it first, but then like.
That's what I was thinking. Like that brings relevancy too, bro. Because it's like you were saying, bro. Like, in order for us to have a real like understanding of what evolution is, I try to throw the opposite in there, de-evolution, just to like actually like try to see like is this shit. Does it have any validity, basically? Because if something is real, it has an opposite, you feel me? And that would be able to be evident in our reality too. And basically, like, with that being said, that brings into question, like, were we, like, okay, when we say we're going to go ahead and say we are consciousness, basically. So, that's as a consciousness. Is it that consciousness evolves or the physical being evolves? You know what I'm saying?
That's a great question.
Because if we, as human beings, we used to be at a height of our abilities, basically, we see that. And we can see evidence of it because they are able to leave stuff behind that we can't even imagine, like, building. So with that being said, is that really a height? I mean, is that really a height though? You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, did we manage to like fool ourselves like while we were falling to think that like it was a difference between like us and our ancestors, basically? Like our ancestors being consciousness.
Right. So, like my opinion on that. Right, because like I feel like just to touch on this right quick, it's very important for people to understand and state when they're speaking from their opinion. Right? So my opinion is like I definitely feel like that's feasible and if since our ancestors share literally the same DNA makeup with slight alterations, they literally can live inside of you, so to speak, right? So that means like everything that they did is kind of like a butterfly effect. Everything that they did is technically and very logically the reason why you're here in this specific space in this environment, right? Because of whoever moved to what country when, right? Who didn't get killed and who did, right? So getting into that, like, yeah, I feel like they can be with you, and they are with you, right? It's just like technically we're walking ancestors that just haven't transcended this form. Yeah. Who's to say consciousness, if consciousness isn't physical, then who's to say unphysical consciousness isn't a real thing?
I mean, I feel like consciousness is everything.
I think this is
that's my opinion, though. That's just my opinion. But I feel what you're saying.
Okay, Mars, can you ask your question again?
Basically, I was saying, as over time, you feel me, I was feeding off of what John was saying. I was basically saying, like, over time, like, we evolved, basically. And as we're looking back at history, are we seeing, are detaching ourselves from our role, basically, as consciousness? Like, are we being conscious of ourselves? Like for example, like John was saying, basically, like, if you go, our ancestors did something and it led to what we're doing right now. So my question was basically saying, like, are we ignoring the fact that what we're doing right now is also affecting the past? Like, our outlook on the past.
I think it goes again to what you was talking about, like we were taught the evolution theory. I think the perception of what we were taught is affecting whether we evolve or de-evolve. The perception of, I won't say because you're in an environment, because that's, you don't have to be a product, and you can also use it as good, like how you were saying, like stress, like it's natural and good for a child to know their mother is in stress, because if not, you're gonna be sitting there like, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna turn off the wrong part of you. Like you can care without caring.
Yeah.
Like I still like if a child fall, a parent gonna care, but then eventually they're gonna be like, you gonna be all right. I told you to stop running. You know what I'm saying? So I think when it comes, I think it's our perception. I think it's people's perception of the crab and the bear mentality. Yeah. And then you gotta look at then like, well, it's natural for crabs to be in the ocean. So it's like you gotta look outside of the crabs in the barrel. So I think you gotta look outside like, well, it was how we was raised, and then you gotta like, okay, like what can you even perceive now? And how can you take in what they taught you to? Yeah. Like as far like it's even with experimentation, like what can you compare to the evolution theory to help bring more validity to your question?
Yeah. Cause and then like it's like this, bro. Like when what made like that's where I feel like a lot of shit is being ignored at. Like that the fact that you can't have it's like basically what would make somebody run away to another country, or what made somebody run away from their mom and then start a whole new nation? Like basically I start the question when I start the question evolution theory, is there a validity to singularity at all? Like a single origin that we all came from, like, or was there diversity from the beginning? You feel me? Like until the end, until this like infinite loop of like diversity. Saying what the fuck? I don't even know how to do that shit.
Sticky keys. Do you want to turn on sticky keys? I think it goes to once again how he's raised. Like I think like duality or split from singularity and singular came once we got here in in spiritual consciousness, or however you want to view it, to experience this in human form. I think then comes in polarity, good, bad, woo to woo, bam to bam. Because I believe in originality, darkness, black, universal shit is it's unconscious of everything, but it exists inside the unconsciousness, but it just doesn't have a separate. I don't think the separation comes. It's like the measuring. Like if you ain't got nothing to compare it to a measure, then in a sense it still is. Just because you measure like something and determine it's a foot, it's like it was still the same length before you had inches or a ruler to measure it. You just didn't have nothing to call it. So it's kind of like if you cut a tree down just to study it and figure it out, eventually you go to the same thing and you turn around and it's still a tree. But you just use that method to try to see like what is it. So I think you said something about like the cycle, like the infinite loop. I feel like once we got this to this realm, so to speak, because like we just like everything is like we use numbers are measuring tools, but we look at that shit like that's law, and it's like not really. It's just a cycle, like everything is with the seasons, because that's what we used it first. We use cycle to the woman, to the moon, etc.
We forget that shit though.
Yeah.
I feel like
you said, we get out of tune.
Evolution, you feel me? It's a great idea. You feel me? Because when you apply to consciousness, that's the only place it applies. But what happens is when you become conscious yourself, the trail that you left behind to become conscious, it becomes like it becomes something that's left behind basically that can be used as an energy, a source for anybody to use for whatever way they want to be used. And that's the price you have to pay for figuring shit out, basically. So it's like, with that being said, like, our ancestors did us a favor. Wow, I'm gonna give y'all all these ideas and technology and energy and shit, basically. And then a race, okay, let's not even get race into that. Basically, let's say like
go there next.
A younger generation of being comes along and they're not able to understand this. You feel me? Or let's go on another narrative in there. You feel me? Basically, the people who are on the line of consciousness and actually, you feel me, trying to figure shit out in their life. Those are the people who actually evolve, right? So when we looking back at them, we saying, "Oh shit, these niggas are like me back then." You feel me? And we like, "Oh shit, that's so far. We got similarities, okay?" So that got to be my distant relative from the past. Like that's your assumption because in reality, everything is your distant relative from the past.
Exactly.
So when we get caught up in that, I feel like it's dangerous. Like get caught up in basically identifying ourselves with something primarily because of the fact that we can relate to it.
I think that's deep. I think relativity is important. At the same time, I think, like you said, you want to bring race into it, and I'm not, but I'm still trying to speak on it and make it make sense.
Everything, shit.
But like,
say what you want.
Like I feel like if you write a book and I write a book about the same thing, but it's in different, like you write it in different ways. It's just like I can be it's like right brain, left brain, or I can be a kinetic learner and you can be like I can be hands-on and you can be a listener, like you learn through listening. So I think when it comes to science and or evolution in a sense, certain people use that because they don't have the same correlation or connection to the same thing that another individual might have to their way of figuring shit out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like that. So like you take that as it is, but it's not through no weird type of way of like marginalizing people, or it's not even like career, like, oh, he's a scientist so you can figure that out. I think more so like certain people it's just like genius or genius potential, or like the fact that everybody got genius potential, but only a certain amount of people use it. Or just like you said, we all come from the same thing, but the survey says that's a lie based off of And what we can see that shows like, well, you know, I might have been here maybe a little longer than you.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe, but not even saying this. I won't say it's fact. I'll say I can adhere or believe what it's saying, but I feel like people use it's like we like protection mechanisms. You create a certain way to protect yourself that you know makes sense and based off what you've been through. So I feel like they create certain methods to present info to who they believe their audience is gonna be and based off who they are.
I feel it for me. Definitely. That makes sense, bro.
Yeah, that's where the whole phrase of a target audience came from. You know, and like not to deviate too much of what we're talking about, but that's why all of history isn't like taught in like textbooks or like all opinions are taught in textbook or all sides of like what we call the story or history wasn't like taught in our textbooks. So we're already only educated from what they or what the majority said happened.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean at all that means that's true.
So you think they're more so like trying to create? You think they're more so doing mind control?
I feel like it's definitely mind control in a way, but it's literally controlling your mind by restricting you to only a specific belief or suggestion to. Well, no, they say this is what happens. So when they're speaking on textbooks, this is supposed to be factual information.
That's true.
And at least that's how they present it. So that it's a mind control of what you know. They're controlling what you know and what you believe in.
So okay, so you said that it's a mind control, but then at the same time though, I feel like it's different accountability is environmental with the person who presented it to you, and then like personal. I was like, I know like the situations and the circumstances seem to be very against us, but why did we believe it? Like we don't have to believe the information that's presented to us. Why did we believe that? It's like because we even went through shit when we was younger with our friends. Like, well, it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, so why did we believe everything? Like, I feel like that's partially our fault to even believe everything that they presented to us. Because in a sense, it is suggestion. Because you know about lies, even how a lot of us was raised in church, you know that there's lies and there's truth. So why only confine that, so to speak, even though that's another institution? Why not like question everything?
Alright, so I mean, I feel like you're supposed to question everything. That's like what's having like a full opinion is about. And so like going back on what you were saying, like that's what it's all going to boil down to is not always trying to say you know something. So like once you're actually being able to be open to everything, you will see the correlations that like each quote unquote institution or belief system has or philosophy has.
I think that's why our parents and stuff, that they didn't know how to say,
and then,
I don't know. Their pride was like, because I said so.
Yeah, and then also to answer your question, it's still not our faults because even if we saw the holes in it on the subconscious or conscious level, or we believe that there are holes in it, and that's our opinion, then from there, it's not our fault. It's what we weren't taught. It's not that we didn't figure out that what we were being taught was not all the way true. Or that it was fabricated or over exaggerated.
I feel like partially our fault.
That's a big lie, in my opinion, bro. When you sit like and analyze it, that's a big lie, bro. That's as big as the Jesus shit because a lot of history is based off of the evolution theory. You feel me? It's based off of like the fact that we should focus on things that are relative to us in the past. You feel me? So, with that being said, there were the species before like any of us are here. We're here, and they were conscious. You feel me? And they passed their conscious along to us, and I feel like that's more logical, which is the idea of consciousness itself. is evolution. That's what. But at the end of the day, it seems like in order, like we can say that, but I don't think we can comprehend that. You feel me? Because of the fact what evolution has done to us. Like in a way, it's made us. It supports the Bible theory of like you being God's chosen people to the point where it'll make humans feel like we are more superior than other animals. You feel me?
Because we have consciousness.
Because we have consciousness, and because we've been here for so long, that we can do it. We're the best survivors. But a lot of cultures say surviving is like being on this planet is bullshit. Like if you survive on this planet, that means you ain't shit basically. Like, that's what I'm not gonna say a lot of cultures, some occult cultures that say shit like that. You feel me? And that's what a lot of our ancestors used to think. So you feel me? A lot of the most popular ancestors, they used to think like being on this planet was shit. So to evolution, basically, is it really like that's what I'm saying? Is it really evolution, or is it staying in the same place, thinking that you're evolving, just because you're conscious of yourself or conscious of the fact that you have things around you that help you survive?
Do you remember the first sentence you said to start all that off? I wanted to piggyback over it. Yeah, you started
First
saying some
sentence.
other stuff. That got good.
Was it about consciousness or?
I think you talking about like other stuff, accountability. You piggybacked off accountability and you studied
Accountability.
You were saying consciousness is evolution.
Accountability for.
Or you're speaking about accountability for what we feel like basically not following our intuition and feeling like it was our fault for believing what we believe in.
Oh yeah, how deep? Yeah, that's how I started off by saying how deep that lie is. Pretty much like the evolution lies.
Oh,
deep.
Yes, so I think it is a big lie, but we gotta look at it like this. We don't have to look at it like anything. I can see it like this. School is an institution. And like they have the right and ability to present and teach whatever is the what they call it, the like shit that they go off of at that institution. Curriculum. Whatever is the because you know they have a certain curriculum, whatever is the curriculum based, they have the right to do that. So like how can we even expect, or why expect them to do something a certain way when that institution is built otherwise? Because if we want shit to be a certain way, we have to go that way. Like we can't. I think it's like half-assed. It's not even all the way full to even expect. I'm not gonna expect it. I'm not gonna be looking at a tunnel like fly, nigga, fly.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You evolve.
Yeah, so like me seeing the school, like if you are a bullshit school system, like we been through this shit.
Yeah.
Why would I even expect you to tell me anything like anti-bullshit?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think if we want to go the route, like if we want true stories, I think we should do more things towards institutions and concepts and things that we have been closed out to from the way we was programmed, and even in our mind, the shit that we like may be fearful of because of the lack of familiarity. Like go different routes. Try this schooling system. Try that schooling system. Try privatized sport because the reason is different. Not get these niggas out the hood. Like no, like try it to see what type of curriculum you might be inviting in by going this route. Yeah. See what grants and shit. But we don't even go that way. One, because environment. Two, because it's like that's a lot. But like if your ass got to go to school, you want to look up all the scholarships and grants. So we got to care enough about our future to be like, you know what? For my kids' sake, I want them to get a different education than I did. Yeah, to invite. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Something. So they podcast can be like 10 times, you know, at our age.
Yeah, definitely. Bro. That's the whole getting better part of it. I don't know what you call it, evolution or revolution or whatever. But adaptability. I feel like adaptability is definitely more relevant. Like
adaptability, I feel like it's a part of like we were speaking about way earlier, because your adaptability is part of the natural selection. your adaptability to overcome situations, whether that's like mentally and emotionally, so that way you don't like commit suicide, or you're literally physically strong enough to hang on that branch long enough, so that way that bear leaves you alone and your lineage continues. Yeah, right. So, like, that's on a very small level. I feel like our ancestors had to deal with that on a daily basis because they slept in the woods, or they were so adapted and they had the adaptability that all the animals saw them as normal creatures that was supposed to be in that area, right? Of course. So like, I definitely agree with you on that.
I was just thinking. I was just gonna ask, what are like the rules for survival? Because I know adaptation is in there. I know self-preservation. I think self-preservation is first, and then like adaptation. I wonder like what's the extent of adaptation?
I feel like the true aspect of survival is having offspring.
So then,
That's the true aspect. No, I'm saying literally a human, as long as a human has an offspring, they evolve because their lineage was able to live another whatever amount of years that child lives.
I think that depends on I think that depends on personal definition of what progress is.
Right?
Because genetically you are evolving, but then when we look at, like you were saying, our ancestors' consciousness, can we say we progress more consciously than our ancestors?
Well, you'll have to answer that question when you transition from this physical body. Because you're not at that point yet, so you don't have the judgment call to say that have you evolved or not.
So then how?
Because you're not done evolving.
So then how is having a child looked at as what would you say that?
Because your child, I feel like, is the main aspect of survival, adaptability, and overall evolution. And the reason why I said that is because even though you'll still hopefully be alive for a majority of that child's life, that's even more so of why that child's characteristics is going to be very similar to yours, whether you like it or not, if you spend the first 7 to 21 years in that child's life.
So evolution takes place in one lifetime, then. You think that's possible?
I think
I
one
feel
lifetime.
like yes, because if not because you're off, brother, but like if you're speaking on like the cliche, the idea of generational curse breaking, right?
Yeah.
So if like one seed decides to not do or remove all of the negative habits that the predecessor had or that the parent had, then technically they have already evolved their whole next 2 or 3 generations. Because now the next 2 or 3 generations aren't going to have those setbacks or what a lot of people call traumas that they won't subconsciously put into their children.
I was going to say like, basically like, with that being said, as humans over time, like we have kids and they adapt to new environments and shit, like, is that something that is, do you feel like basically, is that something that is needed for you to evolve spiritually? Like, or not even spiritually, but overall evolve, like, for example, like, what we're doing AI and shit like that, you feel me? Like, that's a big thing with it. Basically, it's just a big thing I have for like Xolji too, because I feel like you can create anything and put that energy of like a child into it. Like, that's just the energy that we share. And it's like, with that being said, like, I feel like that's part of the dark magic they doing with the evolution shit too. Like, oh, we can find a skull that's just like yours, nigga. Like, this means y'all was just here at the same time, you feel me? So, y'all cousins type shit.
Yeah,
You feel me? But it's like,
that goes to again about based off of the perception of what they presenting to you, based determining on if y'all cousin. But to answer, in my perspective, to speak on what you were saying about is can we use a lifetime to gauge if we evolve? I think that our lifetime is a microcosm of if we've evolved or not. And I like what y'all saying about having a child, because I think I think we look at that as a measure because of one, we know that surviving and having a child is like a way to keep pushing. But I think we also like look at them as measures too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like my kid gonna tell me or show like I think that's spirit consciousness or spirit unconsciousness saying like I want my child to be better than me. Like that ain't just physical, because you know what I'm saying? That's a secondary manifestation.
It's kind of almost a law of nature, because even in like a spiral, the first spiral is going to be only so big, but the next 5 spirals is going to be like up here, and then so on and so forth. So,
but at the same time, though, I don't think just because they larger means they're greater.
Right, and I don't agree. See, greater, better, and worse only is on perception, right? So, if you want to speak about like I'm technically better than my ancestors because I have cleaned out my body and I have been able to live longer than them, and I'm going to live longer.
Which ancestors?
I'm talking about immediate, right? So
this is
that's
a
microcosm. So like I'm not better than my ancestors because some of my ancestors only lived for 20 to 30 years, but they had to go through slavery. They had to like go through like not good air conditions or environment whatsoever. So technically they're stronger and better than me, right? So that's like the balance of it. That's like the contrast of it. It's not better or worse.
It's a chain of survival. And that's where, you feel me, it's hard for us.
It's
I
a
feel
living
like
condition.
the reality that we live is completely opposite of what he's saying.
Yes.
It's completely opposite of that. You feel
So
me?
how do you measure, like, I guess it depends on how you look at it, but it's like, because then we can look at them like, yo, they didn't break. But then we can look at us like, yo, nigga, we push shit like through the roof.
That's the point.
You can't have one without the other.
They want you to. That's the kind of the question I was asking earlier. Like, can you look back at your ancestors without you being here, looking back at your ancestors? Like, you could be doing anything in the universe, but you seem like you're looking back thinking about your ancestors. So with that being said, like, you choosing to do that is impacting your future generations. So with that being said, like, that might be something we need nowadays. But for us to say it's good to know our history, that's a lie in a way, because what we going through right now, people might look back at it in the future and be like, that's normal. You feel me? It's normal to have like big ass chains on and big ass clothes. And it's normal to eat pork chops and shit. You feel me? Just because we don't understand that what's left behind from great civilizations become idle. And the civilization never lasts, but what they art, what they create, it lasts, and then that energy gets passed on to the next generation and inspires them to do what the fuck they gonna do.
So everything is subjective, pretty much.
Oh, I won't say everything.
How does it be though? Because like you said, they gonna be like, that's normal, but like based off of the time that we was in, one, it came after because of where we was at, and two, you looking at it like that was normal, but like when they was in it, nigga, it wasn't.
Yeah.
One, because of the past, and two, because you experiencing this for the first time. So like history, like you saying, is good, but it's like, yo, you looking at that shit like, no, but I think we just gotta do better with like passing on the story, like you were saying, because like it's only like you only don't know who you are, who you were, who people were when you don't have people telling you. Like our parents, when they tell us the stories about their moms and dad, we're like, and you feel that shit. But it's like when other people tell us stuff, or if our parents didn't tell us nothing, then it's like you're gonna try to figure out your own. But if you don't feel it in your soul, then you question it. That's
So where does the transition between if there are many, if everybody has already acknowledged that the Charles Darwin opinion or theory, which is just a very long thought out opinion, or a very long thought out statement that has some scientific proof, then what would replace the evolution theory? What is your evolution theory?
I mean, my theory of history is basically that it's an illusion, like the Zen Buddhist. Like, with that being said, I feel like anybody who tries to make you look back at history and question it at all, to say, even if it's to say you were special, or even to say you weren't shit, either way, they're mindful, because that's what you had to do to survive at that time. So with that being said, that's how I would see it, because the most wise of elders would tell you to live every day a day at a time. You feel me?
Yes.
But a person when they're 20s and chasing money would be like, bro, you gotta think about your future. You feel me? Type shit. And it's up to you to trust which one you're gonna trust. But with that being said, you got somebody who's been there and done that and telling you something, and somebody who's doing it right now and telling you that.
I think it is, and they both have a balance. And I think, like you said, I think it is an illusion, because it's like your yesterday determine your today, and your today determine your tomorrow. But it's like yesterday don't exist, and neither does tomorrow.
Exactly.
Really, all you got is today.
Exactly.
So like I like
It's a
that.
continuum.
Yeah, thanks.
And the evolution, basically, it seems like, that's why I keep saying, like, it's hard for us to even realize that, or, okay, like, it's not hard for us to realize it, but as a society, when we go to work and when we're actually giving into the society, basically, that's us giving into the evolution theory, because we are subjecting ourselves to be under this idea that if I keep doing this, if I keep, doing something, and something good is going to come out of this. But the energy that you're feeding into, basically, the energy that we're feeding into is the complete opposite of basically us admitting, like, okay, nothing in the past matters. You feel me? I'm only gonna live for today. In order for you to do that, you have to stop doing all this shit. You feel me? But you can't though. Or we can, but we have this theory in our head that, you feel me, we're a part of something that's special. And that we keep going to this shit, eventually, some good gonna come out of it. Basically. And that's manifest destiny, what they call it, or whatever, but that's just an illusion in my head too. But yeah, what do you think, bro? Like, your outlook on what you replace it with?
I feel like my opinion about evolution is that someone will be able to have more clarity on how we view that, because we're going to start seeing things differently. Our senses are going to continue to evolve, and we'll start realizing that there's more to us overall, and we'll be able to unlock more of our brain, so to speak, and we'll be able to have, once again, a lot more clarity on what it is to evolve and how far we have evolved or haven't evolved, and the deeper aspects of life in more than just the physical manner. Because if we can dream, and there's a physical mechanism that's attached to dreaming, which is not physical at all, then there has to be some type of bridge between dreaming and being awake. That's just like the thing of when they ask us, when somebody's in a coma, do they know it? I don't think they do. I think they're living their life perfectly fine, like nothing happened.
That's interesting, bro, because I want to hear what Martin say about this, because I like what he said about dreams and like being awake. And I'm not even going to try to misquote him.
Yeah.
But I remember learning this. I love what you said about coma, because you always wonder, like, how can one be alive and still like not be here, and then also like even with like what it means to be brain dead, or even to have a stroke, or not have access to certain senses, or even be blind and still experience reality. The things that we say we need, or the senses that are supposed to be determiners or to assist in this reality, like how it's interesting how we can still do it. And honestly, when you sleep, you look dead. Only reason you know somebody is alive is because they breathing. But babies, anybody who know about babies, they look like they stop breathing. And what's crazy, when you sleep, I can pick your arm up and it's gonna drop. So it's like, nigga, you look dead. That's why they check your pulse. But I want to definitely hear what you. I don't know if you heard. I definitely want to hear what you said. He was talking about being awake and dreaming. And
I was
love what you
speaking
said.
on the aspect of what I think the theory of evolution is. Right? So I feel like, basically, to short what I said the first time, I feel like our senses are and will continue to evolve. And with that,